Well, on tonight's episode, we have Mr. Jason Waggoner. How do you pronounce your last name? So, am I saying it wrong this
Yeah,
whole time,
you
or is that?
said it right. You said it
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Waggoner.
A lot of people say Wagoneer, but I don't know where that comes from. Like, I kind of get it. Oops.
I
I'm
didn't know if
thinking
it was
G.
like Wagner or Wagoneer. Waggoner. Now I'm saying it wrong.
No, it's Wagoner. My grandpa. So it's my family came from Missouri and the Boot Heel in Missouri, and my
Oh yeah.
grandpa was down home as it gets, and he would correct people if they said his name wrong. So,
I got you. Well, up there in the corner there is my buddy Matt Willis. He's helped out on several of these things in the past, so
how's it
um,
going, Matt?
What's up, buddy?
he lives
I'm
in the
just right
area.
across from the old Boot Hill. I'm in Tennessee, just right across from it.
Oh, right on, right on. Yeah, that was it was they lived in a little place called Bloomfield, Dexter, that whole area.
Yep, yep. I'm familiar.
Yeah. So
Well, me and Matt live relatively close, so we've been buddies and music buddies for a while now. So
yeah.
all that's nice. So one, we'll start off by making sure we mentioned that you just had new music drop a
Yeah,
couple days ago, right?
yeah, just Friday, Friday. So it's all new. It's all new to me. Being 52 and just starting doing this stuff, trying to figure out ads and all that stuff. It's not.
How is that? Is that I guess how is that different than what you've always? Because this, I mean, releasing music is not new to you, but um, how is it different these days compared? I mean, I
Well,
know it is, but
it's things are just way more accessible. I don't think that there's a limit to. Um, we have the same reach that we can regionally. If you can buy ads, that's the same thing that big record labels did back in the day. And if you can just spend a little bit of money to focus on getting your streams up and stuff, this is the hardest part. This part, the social media aspect, is the hard part for me.
oh, for you these days,
It just it's just such a weird thing, and you hear kids say stuff like, "Oh, the Beatles would never do stuff like that." But those dudes were like making movies. They did it everything.
Oh
And
yeah.
right?
like I said, at 52, putting out music, and trying to do it correctly, at least is more than just, hey, I'm gonna put some stuff out for fun. Um, it's like you got to do the dance, man, and
Right.
it's it's kind of the way it goes.
Are you just kind of are you learning this by trial and error, or do you have somebody you're bouncing these ideas off of, or
Um, I have a guy. So there's one thing. I work with actually a manager. He's actually Striper's manager. So, but he also managed Lainey Wilson, Bruce Hornsby. He's managed Parmalee. He's managed a bunch of bands.
right?
There's actually a website you can go to. It's called Artist AI, Artist Management AI, I believe it is. And you can just pay a fee to have a consultation with like an actual like manager or a PR person, or just to say, well, they can give you some insight and some guidance. So I've been working with a guy named Dave Rose for about a year, um, and he helps me with a lot of the logistical stuff. Keeps me on task, stuff like that. It's pretty good. So I do that, and then anything, a lot of the stuff is just basically, hey, you got to do it. You got to make an ad. That's something you got to do. And I just go on YouTube, look up how do I make a Facebook ad.
Right. Right.
We didn't have that when we
Is
were.
that is the Dave Rose? Does he have a TikTok
Yep.
channel? I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Yeah, where he gives music advice.
I think so.
Yeah. From a management, yeah, it's the real deal. Like there are a lot of managers on there that you can talk to that are like the real deal, like that have managed some massive Bruno Mars and stuff like that. It's just that'll cost you to talk to that dude.
Right. I got you. Um, so have you always been in the Michigan area?
Yeah, I pretty much, yeah, for the most part. I lived in Norfolk for a hot minute, and that was about it.
I got you. So you've even so gigging and everything. You've done it all right there, fairly local.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't come out playing music live until uh, I was in my mid 20s. I moved back here and joined a band. We toured a little bit, and then I was in another band for just a brief minute called the War and Treaty. Played guitar for them for a minute and did some, a little bit of traveling with them. But other than that, just local kind of stuff. When I had my daughter, I raised my kid solo, so I just got into the acoustic cover thing.
Right.
I needed to be home. So if I wasn't home, eventually she was gonna find some dude that would be home. So I better.
I, hey, I understand that motivation completely.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. It's I'm a huge father advocate. So
No, that's
Wrong with
great.
that.
I've followed some of your stuff on all of that. You don't get too personal with everything, but
oh,
you can you can tell there's a vibe there that that you're present and you do your deal. So
oh yeah, man. I think that's it's sadly missing, and for a lot of reasons. It's not always a guy doesn't always have the option, but to be involved. But I kind of both ways. I got no time for absent parents. Pretty crazy.
yeah,
I think that's where we're struggling.
I think the more people that are parents where they need to be, you don't have any patience for the absentee ones that don't do their job.
Right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't. So,
I
but
say job. I shouldn't. That's not the correct word, but y'all know what I mean.
yeah. It's I had a friend of mine way back in the day, and he needed a kidney, and his brother donated him a kidney, and I had a boss at the time. I build fence for a living. That's what I've done for 20 some years is I build fence. And this guy, my boss, he was a pretty hard dude, and but he was really wise in his own way. And somebody, he said, "Oh man, so and so is such a great dude for donating a kidney to his brother." He was like, "What do you mean? He'd be a piece of shit if he didn't." Yeah, and it's like people are like, "Oh yeah, dude, being there is the minimum. Being there is the minimum as a parent, but especially as a dad,
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, so that was how I got into just doing the acoustic thing,
Yeah, completely understand.
So,
Matt, you got one?
I just want to go all the way back to the beginning, man, and figure out just what inspired you from the very beginning. Did you come from a musical family? Did you just started listening to music and just decided that's what you wanted to do? Just kind of fill us in with what's from the beginning as a child.
oh shit, yeah. So my parents got divorced. I'll show you here real quick. I got this. My parents got divorced when I was like 2, and I lived with my grandparents. And my uncle, my dad's brother, was in a bluegrass band, but I didn't really have anything. I didn't have anything. I didn't live with my parents, so and they were, old Southern folk. They were doing their own thing. But anyways, regardless, this was his guitar. This was the first guitar I ever touched in my life. I was, I think, 4 or 5.
Was that a guild? Did I see that be a guild?
The
Yeah, I was.
75 Guild. It was his. It was so he was a guitar player in a bluegrass band. But that was just a part of it. But all I had was records. you know, and that was where I found my
Inspiration, your fuel.
everything, man,
Yeah.
everything. Brother. That
What
was
was you listening to?
Yeah.
What was
What were those
inspiring you?
records? Yeah.
obviously it started with the Beatles, but it was I had a little box of 45s, and it had some Beatles in there. It had some like kids music. It had Mule Skinner Blues, some weird version of Mule Skinner Blues. It was just all sorts of random 45 stuff. But then it was Beach Boys, and then it just took. I just went all over the place. I mean, I come from a very diverse family. I come from a mixed race family, so my grandfather was into the blues and all that stuff. So just I grew up on everything. But that was I still to this day I just digest music and just
Everything.
yeah.
Is there a specific artist or band that you would say that you get a lot of fuel the way you play and the way you write? And is there anybody like that that's inspirational to you like that? Like you would say your style's kind of like, or
No, I don't. I really try. When people ask me, I just say I don't know because you know we like say vocalists. I could go Elton John, but I could go as equally you know George Jones. Easily George Jones is probably um, they're two. If you wanted to go into the '80s, you could go like '80s like Morrissey and George Jones are kind of they both have this real unique way of really just singing and but Elton John it was just across the board, man. It was there was so much it just didn't stop. I mean, I was a huge metalhead when I was a kid, so that was I was pissed. I was always fighting and uh, failing grades and taking drugs. And there isn't one. I don't have a favorite. I would say Elton John from a production standpoint. Um, his early stuff was really, really.
So what made you pick up an instrument from the beginning? I know you said your uncle, but like when did you start playing?
Um, I I started playing when I was 8. My brother was 9, and he got hit by a car and killed. And so my mom, because I wanted a guitar, my dad wouldn't get me a guitar. So my mom got me this guitar when I was 8, just a cheap little Lotus, but with the insurance money. I think she got it to piss my dad off. So, so that's where I got that. But that was all I had ever wanted. There was like I've got a Robin Trower record down in my record collection that I was trying to learn to write my name on it. There was nothing else I ever wanted. So
So when you got your guitar, what was the song? What are you trying to play at that time?
well, I got lessons in it.
smoke on the water?
No, I was 8. It was down in the valley so low. Hang your head over, hear the wind blow. That was probably the first song I learned.
I got you.
Yeah, it was 70, 79. So you are my sunshine. It would be that kind of stuff. They weren't at that point. Then I got a BC Rich Warlock when I was 13, and I just said, hey, teach me, some docking.
That's right.
That stuff. I was all about that.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I can get into that for sure.
That yeah, eighties rock was my jam.
You wasn't into disco any at all? Late 70s like that?
Nope.
Just
No.
kidding, man. I
No,
tease
no.
my dad about it a
You
lot.
know, there's some, there's something you can take away from, you know, everything, and it's like, I never, I probably did like some disco.
Understand.
I don't think, at 9, 10, 11.
Right. Some songs.
But no, I was, dude, I was always into, you know, even
Black
singing.
Sabbath.
I was in a Black Sabbath tribute band. So
There you go. We're talking to Tony Wyoming right here.
yeah. I sang. I didn't play the guitar, but yeah, I
I
did
got you.
Sabbath.
Even harder, you know.
He's Ozzy's one of the it's undeniable.
Without a doubt.
I think for a long time I kind of slept on how good his vocals actually were. Because because he's pretty much a character. At least half of my life he's kind of a character, not necessarily a musician. I've never seen Ozzy with a guitar in his hand singing a song. So I don't think of him that way.
You just
But when you listen to those albums, like I heard, what was that I heard today actually, Changes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just like, okay, I don't give him enough credit. You know what I mean?
Well, if you go and you listen to like the really early Ozzy, the Sabbath stuff, the subject matter is super light. Like it's like some of it's about, he's got lyrics about, God, and like
Hmm.
that are positive, and then they hit that stride where all this dark stuff works. Let's keep riding that, and
That's yeah.
that's when it became a marketing machine. And then when Sharon got a hold of them, she ran the show. So
I mean, he's always been notorious for having the best guitarist on planet Earth. I mean,
no
really,
doubt about it.
think about it, all the great guitarists he had in his time, going from Tony Iommi to, to Randy Rhoads,
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
the, it's crazy to me, how good a talent he always had around him, including
yeah.
himself, but I'm just saying it was just, he always had state of the art musicians for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, he had the ability to hire the best. That's for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah. Um, so when did you start writing music or trying to do your own thing?
I was in the Navy, and that was when uh, that's when I started writing and stuff like that. So that was when I got serious about it. Then I joined a band that was basically a grunge band, playing electric guitar, and didn't sing. And then once that ended, that's when I started seriously writing. And then I had my daughter, and I wrote and I put stuff out, but I didn't, you know, it was not a financially responsible way to pursue it without,
Right.
sacrificing other things. So
Hmm.
I didn't really have a plan A or a plan B besides music. So I started doing fence. I, I just fell into doing construction, man. That was,
Understand
yeah,
completely.
and I don't regret it, but it's just, I'd rather be,
Circumstances, man. It's circumstances.
it is what it
You know,
is.
I tell people that all the time. It's a lot different when you can take a chance and you ain't got nobody that depends on you, versus being young and just going after it. And if you starve to death, oh well, because it's just
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
you can go out, throw it all on the line. If it makes it, it makes it. It don't, it don't. But at least you threw it all out there. People like us, I know I'm speaking for myself. Just found it later in life. And that's kind of the I'm not going to sacrifice my family over something that you probably got a better chance of getting struck by lightning than making it.
No,
Type deal.
no
You know
doubt,
what I
no
mean?
doubt. That's 100% my. But my daughter's 25. She just moved out to LA to work at a movie studio. So she's so now I can do whatever the hell I want, man.
That's
It's
right.
my time to shine. Uh, yeah. Well, I mean, you. Not to say that you're, as I said earlier, which is not the correct word to use, but not to say your job is over, but your job is part time now, at least, right? So you can
It's just a different. Yeah,
different phase.
yeah. It doesn't end. It changes. You're more of a support role as opposed to a guidance role. I mean, you can still there's still the guidance elements of it, but yeah. I mean, how old are your kids?
16 and about to be 18. So
Yeah, you're getting up there.
I'm getting up.
No, I no, I mean,
No. You're right. Uh, yeah, so that's the way that goes. But and as a teenagers, your job changes, especially depending on the kid.
yeah,
Yeah. So um, no, it's cool that you get to that you that's definitely not something that like you did your part as far as you got something to hang your hat on there that and to be proud of that a lot of people don't have,
yeah,
or a lot of people didn't do the way they should have. So
Hmm.
yeah, totally, totally.
And it's never worth it. I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the day, even if you become a billionaire, and it's still, to me, being absent is still not worth it for me personally,
Yeah.
because I grew up that way, so I know what that's like, and he imprinted on my life that way I'm not ever gonna be. So
Yeah,
if that
same.
if that makes sense to you,
hmm,
so
No, that's the same thing, man. Yeah, same deal. Yeah, that's
that that's kind of a odd thing here. With the three of us have not the same exact story, but similar stories, and both are more determined to be decent parents, or to try to do a good deal, a good deed, because of our situation.
yeah. Well, hey, it's always the ones that don't learn from it that you go, man, you got the opportunity here, man.
yeah, you got to
Yeah.
break that family chain. A lot of times you see it. It's just generation by generation, and somewhere down the line, you got to say, "Man, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be the one that breaks this curse." You know what I mean? And do better for yourself and your kids. And I still say to this day, of all the things that I've ever done in my life, it's still the hardest job I've ever done, because at all times I'm thinking, did I make the right choice, or did I do right in that situation, or and if you're not saying that, I think you're just not giving a damn, to be frankly honest with you. I think
That's it.
that's the way I feel. I know y'all probably feel the same way.
Yep, yep. Yep, that's it. So, but with anything, hopefully you get something out of it also, and I got a love for music, so
Absolutely.
like a passion. It's always there. So,
I think all three of us can contest to that for sure. It's never going anywhere. We'll have it forever.
How much? I know you're a pretty steady gigging musician. How much are how much do you gig? How much? What's a normal week for you? You know,
uh,
I know you have a day job and all, but still,
generally one to three gigs a week.
but it's pretty. You're pretty steady though.
Yeah, this month's a little light, but I want to transition more into do the original stuff, and I've been I've done this long enough that I don't have to go shake the bush. It just comes, you know what I mean? It just, yeah, I get the calls and I say yeah or no, and but they're great. But there's only so many miles on the tires, and you do 3-4 hours a night, and at 52, and Monday you're walking around and you notice it. You just can't talk as well. So, but yeah, it's uh I'm
How,
fortunate.
how are you transitioning? Are you like slowly adding like your originals in the set? Are they? Is that something you're doing? Are you thinking you're just going to drop cold turkey and just start working on nothing but original shows? Or
Uh, I'm gonna do. See, I don't do my originals live too often. I will if somebody's there and asks. Um, that then I'll do them. But generally, I'll just do. I'll play to whatever the venue is, and then I'll do one-off shows of my own. Uh, like I did one last or two the night of my release, which was 2 week or a week, a little more than a week ago, and then the next night I played. I live in Flint, and a buddy of mine has a it's like 100-year-old garage, mechanic garage, and it's got the big wood beams as the for the floor, and I mean it's a magical place, man. It's really cool. It's heated by two wood burning stoves, but I put on a show there. I'll put some shows on there every now and again. But I want to get into more like Detroit. That's why I'm advertising for the my new single. I'm actually doing advertising to get that out there. So so I can go play some shows. I want to go out and do some original stuff. Where I'll just keep that separate.
how is the music
One to
scene in that
pay the
area?
bills. I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, that's it. I was just wondering how the music like scene is in his area and in the
Flint.
Detroit area. What kind of music is being played? Like what are we looking
Well,
at up that way?
as you guys who have been around, and you guys are into the country music scene. It's interesting now how many people own cowboy hats. So
It's coming around full circle. I feel
right.
like the '80s has came back. You know what I'm
Dude,
saying?
when I was a kid in the '70s, the late '70s, early '80s, everybody, it was, outlaw country and cowboy hats and hell, I mean, when I lived in Virginia, I used to go to country bars all the time. I would try to learn the two step every time I went. I probably went 50 times and had to learn over again every time I went. I'd rather play music than dance. So yeah, up here the music scene's a little different. You got everything. Detroit's such a you know was such a hub for music with everybody. Bob Seger,
Absolutely.
Ted Nugent. Is he gets written off quite a bit, but Ted Nugent had 8 million hits, man, and
Right.
guys like that. But then you got Iggy Pop, you've got MC5, Motown, obviously. So you have a huge legacy of music here. That's just it's pretty impressive. But yeah, there's a lot of good musicians here, but it's not it's it's a good scene. I'm not too much of a part of it, but I do my own thing.
I
So
can I can relate to that. We have several different music festivals and things in my own county that I can't even get a booking for. So I shouldn't be a loner so much, I guess. Being politicking is not my strong suit, apparently.
no,
So
I'm
I
with
wish
you.
them all the best, but it'd be kind of nice to be included in your own hometown. Damn it.
Yeah, I every once in a while I'll get some offers, but my issue is that I'm known as primarily a cover artist. So in this area,
Yeah, I got you.
I hear that's a different story. So that's
I get that.
bring that here. Now, where I live in Flint, people know. They know that that's my gig, and I don't play here as much as I used to. During COVID, I played probably more than any time in my life. So
So so basically you could have your cover stuff as the for your money aspect. I mean, I know you're not doing it solely for the money, or you wouldn't be doing it.
No, I do it
But
for the money, bro.
you do it for the money.
I mean, I like playing, but I can play at my house and drink beer for free.
I got you. I got you. I was trying to give a bit benefit of the doubt there, but
Well, some gigs I like doing, but
I know
some,
what you mean though. Some are work.
Yeah.
Some are absolute work because nobody's giving a shit. Nobody's paying attention.
That's like
Those are work.
absolutely work.
yeah, right. Yeah, like when I'm, and I don't have any issue with it. I like doing it. You're playing Fire and Rain, which is great. Or whatever, and then other places you're at, it's two, rolling on 2 in the morning, and people are yelling at you. They want to dance, and you're like,
Yeah, I got a. I've got an acoustic guitar. I don't know what you want out of me. Um,
I don't know what you
okay,
want me to do.
so I mean that is interesting as far as the fact that if you get out of that your normal circle, where you can start doing all your original stuff. Um, that's an interesting thing as far as you would think that the people that recognize the name, as far as you playing all these gigs, they would just people from the outside looking in would think, well, anybody would start listening to your original music, but that's really not the case for the most of the time.
So,
They want to hear what they want to hear, those certain songs, and the rest, you know.
are you familiar with a band called State of Mind? They
Mm-mm.
did a version of like a metal version of like Thunder Rolls. You've
Oh
seen
yeah,
it
yeah.
on TikTok.
Yeah, I've heard
They take like country songs and they make them metal.
mash them up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm friends with the guys and the guys that put that stuff out. And that's a road you go down that road and you're kind of stuck there, man. You may have a few that want to hear your original stuff, but
Most of it. I got you.
they want to hear the covers. Some don't. I do have a following of people who, they get pissed if I don't play my originals at a gig. But
That's cool though. I mean, that's really cool
yeah,
when people, I mean, ask for original songs. Like that's no doubt about that.
but where I struggle with it though is I don't have enough confidence in my own songs a lot of times that I don't want to lose the crowd.
I understand.
If I'm playing something that the crowd is into, I don't want to all of a sudden go into something that they have no idea what it is because I've seen it. They'll just be like,
They do that. They do that on TikTok. So
right, yeah, yeah.
so
100%.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And that is definitely a struggle because you have to be pretty stubborn to do that. Just bear with it and play it anyway play it for you, and that's tough because we don't do that near enough.
Though, dude, those are the guys that make it.
Oh yeah,
They're the ones they're gonna go in and they're gonna do what
they're gonna force feed it and stick to their guns.
yeah, and they and it's obviously entertaining or whatever, but it's getting into those places where that you can do it, but coffee shops don't pay. Back in the day when I was doing the just straight acoustic stuff, but now that I've made the transition to full band stuff, which is I would rather play electric guitar in a full band.
So what is your goal with your original songs, and like if
Oh, I
as far
want
as
to tour. No, I want to.
because you're in a place now with your life you can do that, so that's what you.
No, I can't. But I'm gonna.
He said no.
Wow, man. I don't know. It's like it's a business, brother. It's a business, and how do you manage a business where you can go, make money? And it's not easy, but people do it. You see people roll through your town, and you go, who the hell is that? And you go, they tour, And I'm not saying they're touring forever, but there are a lot of bands like, you look at a band like Clutch, or they've been doing it for how long? and they just play the same size venues all the time. There's never been a super high. There's never been a low. How many
Right.
country artists do you know? You know, like say Turnpike. You know what I mean? Like they'll probably never have a downtime, but they'll never have probably a massive, huge time. They'll probably just stay playing, great shows their whole career. I would think.
I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. There's a bunch of bands that have that following.
Yeah.
Of all different genres. Like when you mentioned Clutch, the first one that come to mind that I've seen her in my area is like on Clockwork every year. Cowboy Mouth is coming to town.
Right.
Like every year, Jenny says is being played in Memphis. So, and there's a crowd every time.
Who the hell is that? You
Exactly.
I like it's. I've seen the name, but do they get played on the radio? So it's
They
a.
did way back, 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, so yeah, just you go okay. So how do you radio's kind of real radio's dying.
Yeah, it's
I don't
yeah,
listen to the radio. I haven't listened to the radio in probably since Pandora came out. I haven't listened to the radio really.
yeah. No, I got you. If I do, it's sports talk radio. That's the
Yeah,
only time I'm. And
yeah,
that's because that's the only place you get local stuff. It's
yeah,
like watching the 10 o'clock news or whatever. It's the only thing you're going to hear about local. Everything else is there's no point in listening to it these days. And
yeah.
I love radio. I'm a radio romantic as far as that's when I was a teenager. That's what I wanted to do for a living was being in radio.
Same here,
But
man. Same here.
but
Yeah, that
but it,
I wanted to be a DJ before I wanted to be,
right.
a DJ was more of a logical job to me than music was. So I was
Mhm.
like, we have a school here in Detroit called Specs Howard. I was gonna go there and just go get into radio. I'm glad I didn't. You know, I know too many people that were in the business for a long time that are, you know, that are.
I worked in it about like 8 years, something like that.
Did you
And
really?
yeah, it was actually in sports talk, which I wasn't even a fan of when I got the when I got the job. But as I got older, I liked it more. Yeah, I was in high school. I was a board op for
Oh,
baseball games, and I didn't necessarily even love baseball, but this was during the McGuire and Sosa home run chase,
yeah.
and it was every Cardinals game for 4 years. I listened to Jack Buck on the radio and Mike Shannon call it every Cardinals game for all of my or my two of my high school years and then 2 years after high school, and so I became a baseball fan because of listening to those guys call games. Of course, I mean Jack Buck is one of the best to ever do it, but um, also the time of McGuire and everything during that time period was
It's a big
you
deal.
know that was a big deal at the time.
They
But
saved baseball, didn't they? I mean, that's basically what it was. The '90s were, they were in trouble.
Yeah, no doubt.
yep, steroids save baseball.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
meat
local.
pitches.
Yeah, and this was a small town radio station too. And it was even back then, they didn't have live DJs. I should have saw the writing on the wall then because even in the '90s, they didn't have live DJs all day. It was a syndicated program, and
Yeah.
then they turn it off to do the news or whatever at lunch and the defs. They'd read the defs and they'd read the whatever corner that somebody was selling something. Jason's got eggs for sale for $2 for a dozen, and this is
Wow.
yeah. Matt's
Party
got
line.
Matt. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Matt's selling
I got a
something, and
nice used push mower for sale. It's only cut a
exactly,
yard about 3 times.
exactly. One day the owner
Right?
didn't get to do his corner thing, and it's sponsored by the deafs by the local funeral home, and he would read, Bertha Mae Wilson of 83 years old passed away last night or whatever, and there was people pissed off that so I got there after school and people were calling just pissed off that we didn't give the diffs. You know, I'm like, man, things have changed so much. Like looking back on that, now you just go to Facebook to see
I was,
see what's going on. But you know what I mean.
they, here in Flint, they still put them on the news. They still put them on the local news, man. It's a lot of them. Flint gets a lot of them.
that's the, that's yeah. In Memphis, they just talk about who got shot. They don't
Who
give
died?
names. They just talk about three shot overnight. They don't give a name with it.
33 shot overnight.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Matt, you got any questions?
I mean, I'm trying to think of something good to ask him about his actual music and stuff. So you released an album last week. Are you are you promoting it in any way other than your social media accounts? Are you planning on doing like you did a release party, you said.
Yeah,
So
I'm doing like an ad campaign right now. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. As a I'll tell you, Spotify. Spotify's great, but I started listening to Pandora when I was streaming, and that's where everything is for me. So I've always been a Pandora guy, but Pandora has a lot of really good resources for like independent artists. More so because it's not as choked up as Spotify is.
yeah, yeah,
So
right.
there's other streaming services. So I'm doing that. I'm trying to look at I want to do gigs, but I know players. The album I did with so I went there's to go back to the catalyst for a full album. I went to a songwriters workshop in North Carolina called Mercyland, and it's put on by a guy named Phil Madeira, and he's Emmylou Harris's guitar player, but he's a songwriter. He's written a bunch of songs, like a ton of songs. Uh, how was it? Maybe by Alison Krauss. He's done stuff for Toby Keith. He's done all sorts of. He's written for a ton of country dudes. Nashville guy.
Right.
And then another songwriter there named Cindy Morgan, and she's big in the Christian music world. And a drummer named Steve Hindalong, and he's another songwriter, and he was in a couple of other big like Christian acts. So it's at this old Jesuit retreat in Hot Springs, North Carolina. It's an experience, man. It's just you do writing exercises in the mornings, and then you break up and you write 2 songs a day, and then at night everybody gets around and performs these songs in this hall in this old Jesuit retreat, man. It's really something special. So wrote some songs there, and then came back home and started putting them down, and talked to Phil. Phil hooked me up with a drummer from Nashville named Steve Brewster, and he's played on a ton of stuff, man. And I communicated what I wanted to him, and he laid those tracks down. And then I have some friends up here that are players, and bass player and keyboard player, an organ player, and then I recorded the vocals and stuff here in my studio. And then I recorded everything basically. I mixed everything, and then the first song, the Tilted Halo song, I saw a guy on here. You ever see Dirt Floor Records out of
Mm-mm.
out of Massachusetts? A log cabin in the mountains, and he's got a studio in there. So I sent it out to him, and he mixed it. And then my duo partner, best friend, and I'm also in a cover band, electric. I play electric in a cover band with, the band Sponge by chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a band with those guys. So the guitar player, my duo partner, they have a studio. He mastered it for me, and so just I'm in the promotion phase. It's last week. It's all new. I'm just my next song. I'm way more excited. I'm excited about this last one, but the next one, I want that one. This is the learning curve of learning how to do ads, learning how to you know do things to get your music out there a little more than just hoping somebody sees you do a TikTok. And you know because it's interesting. When I met you, it was what, at least 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and it was TikTok was such a different thing then to me. I feel like it was. I feel like it
Yeah.
was, and now it's just so saturated with. You go on at any given time, and you're going to see somebody
Right.
playing. And how do you stand out in that? How do you, you know?
I hate to say it, but it's the ones that, in my opinion, on here, it's just all, they don't have any true talent or anything like the ones that they're just making fun of. You know what I'm saying? That's the ones that's got all the people watching them, and that's the sad part. People as talented as yourself, are on here,
There's tons of them like that that
yeah,
you
and
scroll through and you see
you
them
got
playing and
10
you
people
wonder why.
watching.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you
And
got some guy over there that can't. I mean, tone
it's
deaf,
probably
and
just because they're
he's
not
got three
playing the
I,
monkeys.
game.
you know what? You don't even have to say. I know who you're talking about. Does he just sing the tracks? He doesn't even take the vocals out of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I don't know. You know
But
what?
you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not hating on the guy, but that's what I mean. They're just on there to make fun of the guy. And you got a guy like yourself that's trying to promote his music and push his music and really pouring his heart into something. And you got 10 people sitting there, not it's not a big deal to me, but when you're trying to push it to other people and get your music out there, it's going to be hard to do it. Like, you know what I mean? That's my point there.
Oh no,
Uh,
I'm with you on that. And it's in during COVID. I used to do a live stream on Facebook, and that was the golden time because nobody could go anywhere.
right.
Everybody was hungry for something, and connection, and that was a little bit easier. I would sit and I would just talk. I would do an hour show, and I was talking to Chris earlier about the switcher, and people would send in videos, and I would show videos. I would do giveaways, and it was great. And then I started doing lives on here, and I think it was my first live. I just had people just freaking insulting me.
Oh yeah.
And I immediately started swearing and calling people names and stuff. And I got booted. I think one of my
Yeah.
first lives, I got booted
Yeah,
off
that's
for a week.
that
They
reminds
like
me. I haven't had any hecklers in a while. I wonder how they're doing. I don't. Man, I miss those guys.
yeah.
I did a
That
Johnny Paycheck
it's
song one
crazy.
time, and the guy commented, which I actually thought was kind of funny. Like I give if it's funny insults, I'm down for I'm game for that. But he said maybe you should try a different outlaw. I'm like, all right, that was a good one. Oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
uh, but no, I get what you mean on all of that. It's hard to put all your eggs in one basket like that.
It's
And
they like interaction. I think it's a big thing. They like all the interaction, and it to me, and y'all probably can relate to this. But when you got a live crowd in front of you that you
yeah,
can
you
kind of
can't.
see a person's actions and know what kind of person they are and know how you can cut up with them and know how you can interact. When you're on here and you're got a bunch of people that you've never met before, you don't know what to say and what not to say, if that makes sense. But
No.
that that
Fun.
leads me to my next question with you is that basically what part of it do you like? Are you more of an entertainer, or you think you consider yourself an artist? You like to do the writing and the entertaining, or what is your personality when it comes to that, and what do you like?
I just like playing music. Like that's. I'm self-admittedly, like, I have to make myself, like even like to do TikToks. I have to make myself do those things. And even live, I don't really talk a lot. because I'll probably say something stupid. You know, like I've said the worst thing. So I just,
Man, me too.
it just, it's, I saw a guy in here today and he was saying, hey, write a script, but my favorite artist would never do that. You wouldn't,
No.
Shoot from the hip, man. That's what you
yeah,
got to do.
I would rather see a
Be
band
genuine.
come out and play, maybe say something, but I don't. If I even smell that they did the same shtick the night before, I'm like, well, you're not giving me something. See, this is great. I mean, it's cool. I get to see you guys play these songs or whatever, but you know,
I,
that
I get I completely get what you mean, and I went to a concert back in the day that was exactly what you're talking about. As far as it was STP and Aerosmith, which is an odd pairing, by the way.
yeah,
But Aerosmith, of course, was the headliner, and STP was just a rock and roll band. They were like, "How the fuck are you?" You know, there
yeah,
was no stand here and this fire goes off. There was no stand here and this happens. They just played music, um, and they absolutely blew Aerosmith out of the water. Now, I mean, Aerosmith has a hundred more times more songs and all
yeah,
of that stuff,
yeah.
but it was a coordinated show. And as far as a lot of people probably don't care about that, but like what you're talking about as being authentic, um, yeah, that was a contrast in the same night.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen that often, but in that same night, that was a contrast of
Yeah.
bands. That one was just straight out rock and roll, and the other one was a show plus.
Was that early on in STP days? Was that before they were big, or was it?
No, this was this was the early 2000s, so it was really right before they broke up, I think.
Scott Weiland died not long after that.
This
I
this
saw.
was this was before Velvet Revolver, so
I seen them with Velvet Revolver
Nice.
down in South Haven that first tour. With Contraband when it came out.
it was a great album too.
Slash, I had heard so much about him, and I was, a huge fan, of course, being a guitar player. But he's everything that they said he was. I'm just saying,
Oh yeah,
especially live. All the emotion that he puts in his guitar playing, I feel like that's how he talks to people because I feel like he's an introvert, as far as
Yeah. Yeah.
his everyday life.
I saw that. I saw them open for Aerosmith on their app. There was like 19. I don't know.
87?
No, it was for Appetite for Destruction. It was before that had just come out, so they
Yeah,
had
87, 88, I think they were touring with them just for a little while. I remember that.
yeah.
Reading it. But
Yeah, at that point though, man, it was in a, an auditorium, or not a, like a shed, So I'm up at the very top of the hill.
oh yeah.
Early on, it just you couldn't. Nobody knew who they were at that point. You couldn't even see them. Then Aerosmith came out, and that was Aerosmith. I was a fan
Yeah.
of Aerosmith. Anything before dude looks like a lady, I'm good with.
I was trying to think about that. I think this was during the album with Pink.
Okay.
I think that was that tour, that time period.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I still, I mean, I love all that music. It was just two different kinds of concerts in
Yeah,
the
they
same
got
night.
yeah.
yeah, STP's more like on a grunge basis, right? I mean,
Oh, what? Yeah, they're considered.
you consider them a grunge band? I mean, even though they come out later.
No, they're 100% grunge. It was them. It was them. It was
Pearl Jam,
yeah, those guys. It would have been
Candlebox, Nirvana, people like that,
more so the big four would have been Nirvana,
Alice in
Soundgarden,
Chains.
Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots. Those Smashing Pumpkins, that era.
Oh yeah,
I might be late to the party on thinking about this, but um, I was watching a couple of just YouTube like rig rundowns and different stuff like that on Pearl Jam, and they were I I don't know why, because I mean I grew up in the grunge time. That was the peak of it was my high school years. So that was um, I didn't really think about Pearl Jam having their guitar players have more of a classic rock sound
Yeah.
than most grunge music. You know, they have like real solos and real
Yeah.
guitar parts
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. I didn't like it. It took me all these years to. I mean, I've seen Pearl Jam like twice, I think, over the years, but it just never dawned on me how much. But I guess because of Eddie Vedder and because of the songwriting and everything, that's more like all of grunge. But the guitar players separate from the band,
Yeah.
they're not like all the rest of them.
I think because
Well,
his inspiration, he wasn't he the oldest one in the band. Like he came from
You
older
mean
band.
Eddie or the
The
guitar
guitar
players?
player, the
I don't
actual
know. There's two
lead
different
player.
ones. So.
I think you might be right. It just seems like I just remember watching something about him just recently, but I know that, from that standpoint of, that era, that was the era of getting rid of the guitar solo. So like no,
Right.
not anything. If it was a guitar solo, it was going to be
Right. It was just
something like that or something.
It'll all be the intro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody was out, tearing it up like they were, like the guys from Pearl Jam really were.
yeah. I think they were the only ones with like Yellow Ledbetter.
Yeah.
There wasn't very many bands with like real guitar besides like you said a catchy riff.
Well, Soundgarden did, but there were a couple, but most of it was the era of the anti guitar solo. So you
Right.
didn't
They're
it wasn't you would it's not like the '80s or where you saw dudes and you were like, oh, that dude's awesome.
Yeah. I was right, man. I just looked it up. So yeah, it's Mike McCready's who I'm thinking about. And, like
Mike
he
is
was
older.
Temple of the Dog. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're talking about real rock guitar. You know what I'm saying? Like he was born in '66, so.
Oh yeah, he's.
So he was a Led Zeppelin guy, I guarantee it.
Yeah, no
in the
doubt about
70s
it. Yeah, he's.
and yeah,
So
that's what he says. He says he's played parents with Santana and Kiss and Aerosmith and all that kind of stuff. That was his inspiration. So Jimi Hendrix.
So who are some people like when you're doing these gigs and stuff, just on cover songs? Who are some people that when if somebody comes up and asks for such and such person and you're like, okay, like hell yeah, you know what I mean? That's not Tennessee whiskey or something that you've had thousands of requests on. Who are some people that you really enjoy playing?
To be frank, I go through streaks because it just depends on the venue, really. Dude, I don't know.
I understand.
Yeah,
I know.
Frank, if somebody came up and asked me to do, like I just started doing a Glenn Campbell, an old Glenn Campbell song that nobody knows.
Right.
Like if somebody says or if they say, if somebody asks me to play Neil Diamond, I like doing a different Neil Diamond song. I like doing Shiloh because it's it rocks out. It's not
Right.
and it's definitely not Sweet Caroline. So,
I knew where he was going for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
but it's like it's like how's it going? Yesterday, when I was young, the taste of life was sweet, like rain upon my tongue. I teased life as if it were a foolish game. The way the evening breeze would tease a candle flame. The thousand dreams I dreamed, the splendid things I planned, I always used to last on weak shifting sand. And then the night had shone the naked light of day. Only now I see how the years have run away. It it's just the lyrics to the song. I mean, Glenn Campbell was probably 20 years old, and it's about getting older and realize you wasted your freaking life, man. And it's like, I'm not a big lyric guy, but that's Glenn Campbell is probably. I mean, I know he's respected, but he's probably, I would say, probably one of the most underrated musicians ever. Like, he's just.
Most everyone knows the hit songs, but not the real deal about everything.
Dude was in the Beach Boys, man.
All the guys that came from that era, I feel like there's a lot, James Taylor's and, all those guys, they were writing some stuff that's just mind blowing to me, to think how deep it kind of went sometimes.
It's so nutty. Yeah, he's so, if people ask me to do certain things, there are songs I like doing, one song somebody asked me to do, and I was a big fan when he had the one, No Fences, Garth Brooks. I was a huge fan of that.
Right.
And the stuff he did around there, and then when he did the Chris Gaines stuff, I was like, that's enough for me. And but like that one, it's how's it go? I can't remember. Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared in the style above. For a moment, all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? Now, I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives better left to chance. Could have missed the pain. I had to miss the dance. But I like doing that one now. But when somebody asked for that one before, I do Thunder Roll too. But
Yeah, but those songs, it seems like there's been so much time in between when they came out to now. It's like it kind of makes it's fresh again.
Yeah,
because we haven't heard it 10,000 times lately. So it's nice. I'm the same way. I get I kind of fall back into those rabbit holes on certain songs and kind of fall back in love with them again.
Yeah. If somebody asks me to do Keith Whitley, I'm happy as hell, but that doesn't happen very often.
That's the crazy part about just from afar and your lives and stuff. When I see you playing out, you like I've seen you like playing your vinyl on here and stuff like that. You'll go from Sturgill to Marty Robbins to Jackson Brown to what I mean. Like you're kind of George Jones. Like when we hear you sing, we're probably not thinking this guy loves George Jones.
No,
But you do. Like you have a really big, you have a very wide palette of musical taste for sure, which is very cool because it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's got a wide variety that he can actually play and sing.
Well, she thinks I still care just because I asked a friend about her. Just because I spoke her name somewhere. Just because I saw her. Whatever. I do that, but then it's, There's a shadow just behind me, pointing every finger at me. That one or whatever. Tool. I do Tool. I try to do it all.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I like that. Like that. I'd be the guy requesting those two separate ends.
Yeah, but then but this, you do this one too. I mean, you remind me of the sun back home with no the church choir. That one. Anytime anybody asks me to do that, I'm happy about that. So.
Well, the one thing about it though, I know you just went from George Jones to Tool to Tyler Childers, but you sound like you, and that's something that I can't. I don't. I'm not good with that. I can't imitate people, but in my mind, I am. Yeah, I don't. But you're able to kind of do those songs, kind of the way you do them, which is a talent in its own.
Jason does it. Yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Dude, I spent a lot of years really fucked up, and so I just always sang to myself, always sang in the car, always, when. Chase this through life, like that, or. When I
You
down the way to go, so.
Well, you got positive feedback in the chat from all of our folks for sure, as far as all the. I mean, like I said, how you went from, STP and Tool and everything else, and they're like, he should do TikTok lives, like he does. So yeah, just about all of his gigs are he is live. So make sure you go follow him on TikTok and go share out his lives because it's just it's like everybody else that's on here. A lot of times they have 10 people watching, and those are the 10 people like you really appreciate and really count on.
No
But
doubt.
also there's always room for more folks to support and share and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and then it's interesting when you do a TikTok live, especially early on. You do it and there'd be 700 people for like 4 seconds. Just watch
yeah.
it go 300, 200, 4. You're like,
Yeah, but I've met you and several people that are in the chat and everything. Like they've, um, well, there's been some that have went away and then some that came in, but there's always people that um, been supportive. Like I mean, maybe a small number, but what I can say just from my perspective, I wouldn't be able to play. I didn't really start playing gigs out by myself comfortably until after TikTok. So for however many of those 5 to 10 people that were consistently supportive of me, that's the only reason why I can even do what I do do now
yeah.
for
I
whatever level
remember
that
we
is.
had a conversation about that. I think it was early on. You and I had a conversation about you going out. There was another guy during COVID a DJ from, I think he's in Tennessee somewhere, but he was, he just got into it and just started doing lives and, you know, didn't talk, didn't really, and by the time he was, he's playing gigs and doing all sorts of stuff, man. And it's you the same thing, You're like we talked, you're like, yeah, I was a drummer, and then you're like, you're playing, leading a
Yeah.
band, you know.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress, but it's I'm with the right group of folks that allow me to learn on the job. So
Hey,
you know
Nothing wrong with that.
They don't want to do it either. So I'm it's
Yeah,
like by default, you know. We've all been there before. Um,
totally.
well, I guess we can try to play one of your original songs,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I'll put
me and
up.
Matt, you want to try to mute this time? We'll try to mute and see if it'll sound better for everybody. And
Ready to rock? Would you ever have looked at me, your excellency, ever gone away? And I wonder what say that you went. Well, your halo is tilted and not quite as shiny, but I think you're lovely. You're a sight to be seen like the heavens, but I think you're lovely. You could hold light in your hands like the weapons that you won't use on me. Oh no. So sure seems so sorry, God. I'm an apology that I never be raised by your majesty. It's as if my legs won't move like I'm in a dream. But I think you're lovely. You're a sight to be seen like the heavens. But I think you're lovely. You can hold light in your hands like the weapons that you won't use on me. I'm just a phone. You move around. I push almost lost, but now I'm found. I think you're lovely. You're a sight to be seen like the heavens. But I think you're lovely. You can hold light in your hands like a weapon that you won't use on me. Na, 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 na.
yeah, man, that was lovely, lovely.
Right? So yeah, so that's just it's one of those, you know. So
So that was Tilted Halo that he just released last Friday. So make sure y'all go follow him on all streaming platforms, and give a subscribe, hit the bell, and all that kind of stuff, so you'll be notified when he releases more music, because more is coming, right? Isn't
oh
it?
yeah, I got 8 songs. So I'm gonna do four, release 4 singles, then in a full album. Put it all into one package.
Is that one of the ones that you wrote on the retreat, or is that a different?
No, that's the one I wrote. We wrote a bunch, but it's really worth going to, man. It was like a summer camp for freaking songwriting. I mean, it was just, you know. No, the song I wrote that's coming out next is it's kind of along the same kind of theme. It's just about having a messed up life, but you still got more to do, you know.
Hmm.
And,
Well, we'll start just kind of giving you some random stuff here, and
all right.
we'll go for 4 or 5 random ass questions, and then we can wrap it up. Um, uh, I was gonna ask, so what, because I personally like hearing everybody's answers, because it's all over the place. But what was your first concert?
the Rockets, which was they were a local rock band. You know, they had a version of they had a song called "Turn Up the Radio," which was big up here. Then they did their own version of.
That's one of those vinyls that when you buy like a box of records from a garage sale or whatever, that a Rockets album was in. Like I didn't know who they were,
No,
but I
they
but
just
I found them because of vinyl, which is part of what
so if
one of
you
my favorite parts about it. So.
look at the members of that band, they were most of them were like in big like '70s bands. So
Mm.
like Alice Cooper and stuff like that. They were like Detroit musicians that when like the scene was kind of going away, they kind of did their own thing. So
How old were you when you saw your first concert?
oh hell, probably 9, 10. Well, maybe 10.
I got you. Mine was Sawyer Brown at a county fair. So, you got your cows over here and pigs over here and Sawyer Brown
Yeah.
right there. But I've seen a bunch of people at that same venue. The next one was Candlebox
Oh right.
and Brother Kane. Remember them?
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
First time I ever saw somebody flash a band. I was like 14.
Hell yeah. I'm
From the
coming
back, I
back.
didn't really see anything. I didn't see anything, but Um, but again, still the same situation. Candlebox in the center, cows over here, pigs over here. Kind of an odd pairing with those two bands amongst the farm animals. But it's the mid South. You get what you get. But I still remember it was still a great concert. Matt, what was yours? I've heard you say yours before, but I can't remember.
Mine was Leonard Skinner too. Mine was.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah, that which wasn't
That
really
was in the
Leonard.
smokestack lightning days.
Yeah, that was that was something crazy because you know, as big as a Skinner fan as I am, I was in heaven even though it wasn't the original guys. If I could go back in time, that's probably one of the bands that I'd see live for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But I think Billy Powell and Gary Rollington was
Still there.
the only two was original. But I seen them at Snowden Groves where we seen them. This was before they built on. It was still all flat, and this, that, and other. It was like 2000.
He's a big Bob Seger fan too, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
absolutely, man.
He lived in the town that I grew up in.
Yeah, super big, man. My parents. I mean, growing up, them and the Eagles was, Live Bullet's still one of my iconic vinyls that
Oh yeah.
I keep at least 3 copies too because it's something that's got to be with me at all times. I don't know why. Just it's one of my go-to albums.
The guy that played drums on my stuff, he's played for Bob Seger. There's a video of him playing with Bob Seger on David Letterman or something like that. So that was
got you.
not a bad gig.
Matt, we'll wait to the end to ask the hardest
Oh,
question. Go ahead.
I want to ask him a guitar question just because I know he's a guitar guy. I usually ask somebody, that is a guitar guy, what if you had to pick one right now of any era, what's your all-time holy grail instrument? I'm going to give you an acoustic and I'm going to give you an electric. That way you can kind of tell us both.
If I could get an acoustic, it would be the top level Guild probably. Like this model, but the 6-string Guild version of this. Just because my uncle in that Guild, the name has the brand kind of resonates with me for some reason. So it's
Back in that era, I think they were kind of like they were huge in that era. You know what
I
I mean?
would say they were like the Taylor of the '70s.
I agree with that. I would say that because, Hank Jr. played them a lot, back in those days. There was a lot of people that played a lot of Guilds in those days. And
Yeah, they did for a hot minute, and then they hit the '80s, and I read about it, something they got sold or something like that, or somebody bought them and just kind of now it's that guitar there is a $500 guitar, and I gig out with it all the time. It's great. So electric. If I could get, I just got this.
Yes.
This is a ES355, but this is an Epiphone, freaking inspired by Gibson.
It's
So
pretty, man. I like that
it's
tuxedo.
it's got everything on it. Everything. So it's got real inlays. Everything on it is real. Everything is the same as the $7,000 guitar, except for the body's made in China. So, if I could get that would be probably my holy grail. Like the real version of that, I would say. I don't have I like vintage guitars, but I don't have the money for them, so they don't. I see
So
it.
even on your holy grail list, they're still off limits.
Yeah,
I
I look at them and I go, you see them and you go, oh, that guitar's 25 grand, man. I'm like, fuck, I
I
wouldn't.
thought he was gonna say like '59 Les Paul and like pre-war Martin. I thought he was gonna say something like that. I really did.
No, I've never wanted a Martin. I had a Martin early on, like a low end Martin. I've just never. It's never. A guitar has to have almost a sentimentality to me. This guitar here, I just bought this guitar, this Silvertone, and I paid $500 for this guitar. And this,
That's like a Jack White guitar, right? Like,
it would be kind of, but dude, it's so versatile, man. It sounds awesome. Yeah, I can get a lot of sounds out of it. I don't like the pots on it because when I roll the volume off, it changes the tone, as opposed to just turning it down or rolling the gain off. I guess you could say.
right. Yeah. I knew what you meant. Turning the brake off, cleaning it up a little bit.
Yeah. Like that one is awesome. That one is, so I might switch those out, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if I could get it off them, late 60s, 35 or something like, that'd be awesome. But, I notoriously buy cheap guitars and then I switch everything out. And this one I don't have to. So this one has everything in it. It's, it works.
So what does Jason watch besides YouTube or music related stuff? Or what do you watch? I mean, it's all right to say, that might be a loaded question because you may say
no.
nothing because
No, if Andy Griffith, man.
I was watching it today, man.
That's really there's an Andy Griffith channel on Tubi. I'll turn that on and I'll just sit there and watch it. And I watched, you ever watched Deadwood? That was a great show when that was on. I love westerns. I love westerns, man. That's anything western I'll watch. I like old westerns. I like
You watch any Gunsmoke?
Oh hell yeah! I listen to the radio version of Gunsmoke. Sirius has a channel, channel 148, which is radio stories, and when I'm working, it's vintage radio, and you can listen to like Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, Dragnet, all these shows. So I listen to
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, they don't play that. I don't think they have the rights for that. So every once in a while you'll hear one, but it's mostly like Fort Laramie. It's all these old ass James Stewart.
Yeah, but they do a great job of putting those together though, even at that time.
Oh, they're crazy. James Stewart was in one called The Six Shooter that I really like, But yeah, I watched Bonanza. Like I was a huge Bonanza fan. Seen them all.
That's what they call me at work's Hoss. That's what.
All right. Yeah, I'm a huge Bonanza fan, man. Yeah, so So yeah, I watch. But and more than anything, I'll just throw on Andy Griffith and watch that. Uh, it's just it's mellow. Nothing's gonna surprise me. I like it.
Favorite John Wayne movie.
My favorite John Wayne movie. Oh hell, I would have to say. I just saw True Grit's probably my favorite John Wayne movie. But I also like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
That's a great one. That is a great one.
I just I just saw him in. I just read a book called what the hell is it? The something Summer Moon. But it's there's a movie based on a woman who got kidnapped named Cynthia Parker, and John Wayne did a movie about that, and I can't remember what it was called, but I just watched it. It was pretty good.
All right. So well, Matt, you can give him the last one, the tough question, and we'll let you get out of here. And
So this has become a staple, Jason, on our
Right on.
show, and it was all a joke in the beginning. Now it's gotten really serious. So, you know what a Little Debbie cake is, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What is your favorite Little Debbie cake?
Swiss rolls.
Swiss rolls. That's a great choice. What about the worst one?
The snowballs. It is
Those
snowballs are that. You know what? I don't like the white ones with with the chocolate drizzle on them. I don't like those all that much. But yeah,
zebra cakes.
yeah, zebra cakes. Yeah, Swiss cake.
Well, I like those.
Yeah.
We can still be friends. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you're not eating Star Crunches on a daily, we're good.
Matt has a hate relationship with Star Cakes. You know,
Oh man.
they insult his integrity. I'll have to send you the clip on that later.
Yeah, do that.
Before we kind of knew we were going to try to do this on a regular basis.
Well,
Yeah.
you talk about TV shows. I was just thinking about it though, real quick. It's like Hee Haw. That was if that's on, if it's a certain era, I will always watch it. Once it got into the '80s, I was like, yeah, it's not as good. But those early days are awesome.
Did you like Eastwood cowboy movies?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, yeah.
Which one's your favorites on that one?
Obviously the Dollar Trilogy. All of those are good. But any of them, any of the, High Plains Drifter, friggin' any of those, all those are
Outlaw,
good.
Josie Wells, and
Yeah.
Pale Rider.
Pale Rider.
Man, that's a great one.
It's dark as hell, man.
love
I just watched that one. Just
Love that movie, man. Love it.
But you watch his movies, and like one of my favorites of his was the Any Which Way But Loose series.
Oh yeah.
Because you see all the same dudes that are like
That were cowboys.
But then,
I need to rewatch those.
The Pale Rider, the barber is one of the bikers in Any Which Way But Loose. He's like
And his wife at the time popped up like she was like the girl in Outlaw Josie Wells.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Then she pops up in those movies too.
yeah.
Later on down the line, but yeah, man, I grew up watching a lot of that. Two Mules for Sister Sarah was always real funny to me, man.
Yeah.
I always thought that was just funny.
Yeah,
I watched Jeremiah Johnson today. I'm sure you're a fan of that movie.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one. I may have seen.
Robert Redford.
No.
He's a mountain man. If you
Oh,
have never
yeah, I
seen
know
that
what
one,
you're
I
Wait,
highly
is that the one where
recommend.
he goes? Is that where the scene where people use it as a meme, where he's got the?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that one.
I always liked the part where the old crazy man's got grizzly bears chasing him. He's like, ah, Pilgrim, ah! And he's just running through the snow,
I'm waiting for the for people to listen to the audio version of this and hearing Matt making those noises. That's gonna be. They're gonna be going to YouTube just to see what the hell the actual video of what the noise was. But,
That's awesome.
all right, Jason,
All
man,
right,
it's been a long time coming. I'm glad you we're finally able to make this happen.
sir.
And y'all make sure you give him a follow on all the places on the Facebook, on TikTok. Make sure wherever you stream your music from, give him a favorite, and ring the bell,
Pandora's his
follow him.
favorite. Remember, he
Don't
likes
follow like in
Pandora.
a stalking kind of way. Follow from a distance on a social platform. Um, and that's about all I got. So,
Right on.
everybody in the chat really enjoyed it, Jason. I can't keep up with all the comments, but I've seen a lot go by, and
Good.
I think you got some new folks that are going to be joining your live. So it's which is the whole point of this thing. So
I love it. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Chris, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man.
we'll see you.
It's nice to meet you, Jason.
Yeah, nice meeting you as well, brother. Have a good one.